Talkin' Country.
You're listening to Talkin' Country with Paul Taylor.
Hi, welcome to my channel, Talking Country, where we'll be chatting to the stars of country music from around the world, whether it's in Nashville, Australia, UK, Ireland. You'll get it here first. If you like us, subscribe and give us the big thumbs up. Hopefully you enjoy it.
Not everyone can do it. Takes a special kind, willing to walk the walk, their life on the line. They bravely take the challenge each and every day, trusting God will keep them safe each step along the way. When the heart behind the badge is made of solid gold, they're not out to be a hero or have their story told. They're just trying to make a difference between right and wrong. The heart behind the badge is still beating strong. Sometimes you see some bad ones on the evening news, but among the millions, they're far between and few. Come from every kind of family, living by the golden rule. They make the world a better place for the likes of me and you. When the heart behind the badge is made of solid gold, they're not out to be a hero or have their story told. They're just trying to make a difference between right and wrong. The heart behind the badge is still beating strong. Beating strong, beating strong, knowing deep inside they're right where they belong. Solid gold, they're not out to be a hero or have their story told. They're just trying to make a difference between right and wrong. The heart behind the badge is still beating strong. The heart behind the badge is still beating strong.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Heart Behind the Badge by Joni Harms, my great friend, all the way from Oregon, and she's on the line. How you doing, Joni?
I'm doing wonderful, Paul, and yourself?
Yeah, everything's going okay-ish.
Yeah.
And it was exactly 12 months ago we were talking. How can you believe that when you're here on the station?
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 12 months, but it's been a wild 12 months, hasn't it? I'm kind of ready to put those 12 months behind us.
I was just going to say, what happened? You know, nothing much happened this year, did it? But like you said,
Well, lots happened. It just wasn't much music.
Exactly. And there's a cowboy song in what's happened this year, definitely one or two anyway. But Heart Behind the Badge, tell us a little bit about that. I mean, it's a brilliant song, and we've been playing it quite a lot here. But it's back to the old type of country, isn't it? Really proper country music.
Well, I don't even know if it's such a country song, Paul, but it's just one that I felt needed to be out there. It isn't even really recorded in a professional studio like a lot of the recordings I have. It's really just a demo that we did at the RCA building in Nashville. My co-writer Wood Newton and I wrote that just because we really felt that it needed to be, like I said, out there with all that's going on and the policemen taking a bashing, and it's just, they're out there trying to help. And did I ever get an indication of that last night? I don't know if I can tell you a quick story. I did have a gig, an outdoor gig in Idaho, which is just a sister state to Oregon. And I flew, though, because even though it was about a 14-hour drive. I thought, well, I'll just fly because I don't know what the weather's going to be like. And, I don't really have that many days in December to spare for travel. So I thought, we'll just fly. So it was 2 short hops on a small plane to get there. And then we did the great, wonderful outdoor gig in the mountains of Idaho with snow and lights and Christmas trees, and got really into the spirit. And came home yesterday evening, and I got down to pick up my bag off the carousel, and lo and behold, it wasn't there. And I went and reported it, and the gal said, no, it came. I don't know where it went. And then we got to looking and talking, and she said, I'm sorry to tell you the news, but it looks like somebody stole your bag. So my heart sank, because in that bag is a pair of Christmas boots that Lucchese Boot Company out of Texas custom made for me about 5 years ago. And they have my initials. They got Christmas trees on them. They've got, some of you people maybe have even seen them. They were red ostrich, gorgeous things, and worth a lot of money, but also worth a lot just to my heart. So I was just sick to think about losing that. And they said, well, I said, what's the chances of getting the bag back? Probably pretty slim. And she said, well, to be honest with you, yeah. But she said, there's surveillance cameras around, and we'll report this to the police right now. And pretty soon a policeman came down and said, your bag was white? I said, yeah, white with kind of a chocolate leather trim on it. And he said, okay. He said, come with me. We got to go up all the way around the airport and come in from a backside, because he said, I think I found the guy that stole your bag, but we don't want to accuse him of it until you identify the bag. And so I came around from the backside and said, yeah, sure enough, that's my bag. Wow. And so I thought, oh, there's hope that I've got my boots back. So then I went back around. He arrested the guy, brought my bag in, and all is well. So I told him, I said, I just wrote a song called The Heart Behind the Badge, and it means more to me than it ever did before.
That's brilliant. I mean, it was a meant to be song, that, wasn't it, really? It was a meant to be.
Yeah. And he said, well, we're going to check it out. So I said, I hope you do.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a brilliant story. And like you said, every time you sing that now, you'll remember those guys.
I will, and this story, because it really means the world to me to have those boots back. I could care less about the bag and all the other things in it, but when there's something made custom for you and you've had it for a while, and it's just kind of a part of you that I'd love to pass down to Olivia or whatever someday, those are the things that's hard to lose.
It is, and I said Olivia is in Texas at the moment, so we've got some music lined up for Olivia as well, and hopefully one day we'll get her on the show as well.
Yeah, she was playing at the National Finals Rodeo. They went ahead and held that, believe it or not. I was kind of surprised, but they didn't have it in Las Vegas, which is where they usually do, but they did have it in Dallas-Fort Worth, and she performed there for that. I wish I could have been there with her too, but I had this other gig. Plus, I'm avoiding, just to be safe. We've only, I hope, got a few more months of this COVID stuff, and then maybe we can be free to go a little bit more often again.
UK vaccines are all in situ, certainly for the first wave. As of today, the news has just come through, and they're already lying in various hospital hubs throughout the country, so that's all lined up. So it'll be like, the care homes, care home workers, NHS staff will be getting the first lots of vaccine, probably in the world.
This will be a year we won't ever forget. And I think, though, in some ways, at least for our household, we are more thankful than ever to have what we have, and our health and our families. And, I am just blessed to be out on a ranch. It was tough not being able to travel and get out and see my friends and fans, but at least I had a wonderful place to hang out and be and stay busy. Always stuff to do on a ranch. So, it wasn't really like some poor people that I know that might be cooped up in an apartment and not be able to get out, or stuck in a hospital with COVID or whatever. So I count my blessings.
We've got to be thankful, haven't we, for that kind of thing. And obviously you had a double sort of whammy this year, because you had the big fires, didn't you?
We certainly did. And, that was getting awful close to our ranch, which is getting close to being in our family 150 years, Paul. And so, it was homesteaded in 1872. And so you can only imagine what we've collected and got in here through all those years. Like when we had the evacuation, it was like, oh, I don't even know what to take. Everything is special. And through the much travel as I've had, I've been able to get things here and there that mean so much to me, just like I was saying about the boots, you can't replace it. And so I didn't even know what to take. But my son, Luke, he sells John Deere tractors and also is taking over the ranch. And so he said, well, I've had enough. This is getting too close. And so he and a bunch of his cowboy buddies went up in the hills of Malala around us, which is where the fire was, and started fighting fire. And they made a huge difference. There was about 25 or 30 of the young men that went up there. And, the firemen were doing the very best job that they could, but they were not able to do it all. And so those boys went up and made a real difference and slowed down the fire enough that it did not end up getting to our place. So I think it was about 10 miles away, and that's close enough.
I know, I was looking.
But, and the smoke was just, oh my goodness, it's just, the day was night. It was, I took some pictures, and it was, you had to go outside at noon, 12 o'clock noon in the day, you had to have a flashlight.
Wow.
I've never experienced anything like it, and I hope I don't again.
No, I kept abreast of your story, and obviously a private message to you as well with the red sky, and you were putting it on Facebook as well. And I thought, oh my! And with everything else that's going on in the world, and like I said, thank God that everything was fine. And Jeff, your husband, was kindly telling me just off that he got the hose pipes out as well, because it was just all hands to the pump, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's tell you what. Let's play another song. Let's because obviously we're going towards Christmas now, aren't we? And it's the magic.
It's time to cheer up.
It is. And you know what? I've always been a bit of a Grinch regarding Christmas decorations, because I always said you can't put Christmas decorations up in November. It's just not heard of. But round here, and I said throughout the world who celebrate Christmas, why not? Why not put it in November or whatever? Cheers you up, and you've got kids in the house and they all want to be cheered up and focus on something positive in the world, and why not, and so I started watching Christmas films in the middle of November. I'll own up on a mince pies. I'll put my hands up.
Oh, very good.
So let's play Cowboy Christmas and Christmas album as well, and like I said, we're going to play some of Olivia's stuff as well on the show as well, but Cowboy Christmas, and this is by Joni Harms, my friend, all the way from Oregon. There you go. That was quite an easy one. Yeah. So I'll just superimpose those songs.
Okay, and Paul, if you do think you'd want to do something with Olivia and you want to slip something else of mine in and save her music for another time, feel free to do that. It's entirely up to you.
No, I've got it all. I've enough. I've certainly got enough time to do that, and I wanted to do that as well. And like I said, probably in the new year we'll get to speak to Olivia. She's got such an amazing voice as well. But so I'll just count you down. 3, 2, 1. Well, that was a great Christmas song by my friend Joni Harms, all the way from Oregon, who's on the line, and that was Cowboy Christmas. And we got another Christmas one up on our sleeve as well in after the next segment. But tell us a little bit about. I know we spoke last year about but briefly as such. How did it all start for you, Joni? For all the listeners who weren't part of the audience last year.
Well, I was born into a very musical family, and my brother Buck is 10 years older than I am, my sister Chris 11 years, and so they all had quite a head start on playing musical instruments and singing, and Mom and Dad both were very musical as well. So I just kind of had no choice but to join right in, and I picked up the third part harmony and enjoyed it so much. I eventually started learning guitar as well and writing songs, and I'm the only one in the family that decided to try for a career in music. Oregon's a long way from Nashville, but I was always very encouraged. My mom and dad said, follow your dreams. There's no sense not to. And they believed in me, and that made the world a difference. And so I did several years of rodeo queen titles where I would make appearances playing music as well as a rodeo queen. I'm very involved in the FFA, which is the Future Farmers of America, and played at the national convention there in front of 5,000 Future Farmers of America kids. And I wrote a song called A Girl from the Country, got a standing ovation from that. It changed my life forever. I said, there's no turning back now. I've got to make this work. And so just one step at a time, one fan at a time, one gig at a time. We kind of kept going until I finally got a record deal with Mr. Jimmy Bowen at Capitol Records and Universal at the time. had a couple of singles out on country radio that went into the top 20s on that label. Then was on Warner Western, and that really was kind of my niche. That album was called Cowgirl Dreams, and that album got into the top 10 in the Tennessean newspaper, where I was wedged right between Alan Jackson and Leanne Womack for Album of the Year. And so that was a big, wonderful feeling. And that album did very well. We got in People magazine in the US, People magazine in Europe, USA Today, made huge strides with that album. And even though they dissolved that record label shortly after my album was released again, so that was the way it seemed to go for me, it still made a huge difference in my life in that I got closer to meeting people like yourself.
Yeah.
More doors open to be able to perform in other countries, because I know y'all like traditional country music over there.
We do. I tell you what, I'm going to say to the audience as well. We're on Zoom. We wasn't on Zoom last year, but I must say that I've never seen anybody meticulously dressed like a cowgirl like you. There's not many lady country singers in the world now, certainly now, that have a hat. You've got the cravat going on. You really do turn yourself out brilliantly, I think.
Well, I appreciate that so very much. I owe a lot of it to my sponsors that I've gathered through the years. I mean, I was mentioning a little bit earlier, Lucchese Boots, one of the finest, in fact, I think the finest bootmaker out there. And they have stepped up to the plate and made several pairs of wonderful boots for me to perform in. This is a Pendleton vest, a Shorty's hat. You know, because I choose to be unique and carry on the cowgirl look, I've been very blessed with people that want to support me doing that.
Yeah.
So I owe a lot of it to them, but thank you so much. I do take a lot of pride. It's a privilege to me to be able to play music for people and be in this business. So I feel it's only fair to them for me to try to look my very best.
I'm trying to think of any other female. The only one I can think of, top of my hat, is Canadian singer Terry Clark.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of it, that actually has a cowgirl hat. I was going to say cowboy hat then, but cowgirl hat.
Cowboy hat works just fine.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, you're well known and you've visited so many times to Europe, but especially in England. I mean, Two Step in Texas Blue, you know, We Can Work It Out, all these massive line dance hits over here as well.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm so happy that they embrace them like they do, and it's a thrill to get over there and see you all, and it makes it worth the long journey there to have such a warm welcome.
But it's one I was just saying to your husband Jeff as he was setting the Zoom up. I was just saying to him, I don't think he realised. I said I actually had the pleasure of working with you in Exeter, wasn't it, a couple of years ago now? And I was doing the sound and that, but you kindly invited me up, and we did about 5 songs acoustically, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We had to laugh on that night.
That was fun.
I looked for my guitar strap and it was missing, so he ended up using my leather belt and just making the holes a bit bigger.
Oh, that's funny. I was doing a show in Canada a few years back with Marty Haggard, Merle's son, and he came up to me and he said, "Oh my gosh, Joni, I've forgotten my guitar strap." And I had at that particular show a real pink girly strap, you know, that was said Joni Harms on it and the whole 9 yards. And I said, "Well, you're more than welcome to it, Marty, but it's not really quite your style, maybe." But by golly, he said, "I don't care. I'd be thankful to be able to use it." So he got up there with a pink strap and did a great show.
Oh, it's brilliant. And I must admit, you've got an array of photographs behind you on the wall, and I can see there's some of them I can't quite make out, but I can see George Jones right behind you with a blue coat. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was at the Grand Ole Opry. I don't know if he's this side or that.
No,
yeah. And what a great man, you know, and so kind. And we got to do several times shows together on the Grand Ole Opry, because at that point he was there quite a lot. And he'd always remember my name and say, "Hello, Joni Harms, how are you doing?" Most of those guys, you know, at the Opry that I got to work with were like that, and that's something that isn't as common, I'm sad to say, as it was with the good old boys. But you know, I think after this year, some of those kind of things are going to start coming back. I think people are realizing what the most important things in life are, like I was saying earlier, friends and family. And, you just count your blessings and realize how lucky you are to have what we have. And I don't know, I think going along with that maybe is just being a little more friendly to your neighbor.
It is, and I think out of all the artists that I've interviewed, that's a common theme. Certainly this last 10, 12 months, where people have said exactly the same thing. They've all had to adapt. They've all doing the online streaming gigs and whatever. I've been fortunate. I've done probably 2 or 3 in lockdown when it's been safe to do so. I should have had one. And you know my great mate, Steve Hanks, don't you? In the
Of course.
yeah, well, Steve,
You bet. Great guy.
Steve and Cal were putting a weekender in the seaside town of Scarborough this weekend coming up, and I was doing the Friday night. I was so looking forward to it, but last week he just said, no, it's all been cancelled, but it's reboots in March. And that's the way it goes, isn't it? But I certainly, and then the first gig I did, probably about 2 months ago during the lockdown. And then somebody couldn't make it. I think they were ill, so they asked me over in Blackpool. And it was a Sunday, and it was a Sunday afternoon. I got the message, and then I thought to myself, I better go and see if all my equipment's working. Get my guitar and just get my finger, because I hadn't picked a guitar up for months.
Me too. My fingers were just like little boils on the ends of them after playing this last Saturday night. I said, oh my gosh, because I think I ended playing off and on for almost 3 hours because we were all having such a great time. And so, but boy, oh boy, I said, I'm going to have to be picking up that guitar a little more often to keep those calluses up, because I'm the same as you. They were stinging.
I tell you what, always impressed me, obviously with the Exeter gig as well, you had no band, it was just you and the guitar, and you just had the audience in the palm of your hand from note one. It was just amazing.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I believe that if the song is strong and if the singer is sincere and has a good voice, you can pull it off that way.
And looking at another photograph behind you there, is that Steve Warrener? I can't quite make it.
It is. That's also at the Opry. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to chat to Steve this year.
Did you? Isn't he a nice guy?
He is such a lovely guy, because we've got a mutual friend, because similar to yourself, Nancy Hayes came over to the UK and brought a close friend and sound engineer, Randy Gardner. Well, you might know Randy, because he's obviously a good friend and one of his best friends. And it was him who managed to get me to speak to Steve. And it's going to be on one of the Christmas specials leading up to Christmas. And I was so in awe of the guy, but he's so humble, like you all are, because we're all human beings, aren't we? We're not demigods. We're human beings and making a buck, and the guy is so talented, but he was so, and he actually went to tell a story about Garth Brooks, but it was a story that not a lot of people know. I think it was just his personal family. And I said, you do realize this is going on radio? But he still told it, and it was just an amazing, amazing time. I just noticed the red coat then, and I thought, I can't really see it in the distance, and I thought, that looks like Steve Warrener.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And yeah, he's great. I'll have to hear the Garth story sometime. That sounds interesting.
I'll send it over to you. I'll send a like a wee transfer kind of thing. You can listen to the interview. But he's it was good value, absolutely good value. My jaw was dropping, and I was seconds away from saying to him at the end, "Can you get me an interview with Garth?" No, let's be professional. But I'll tell you what, let's play another song. Let's play another Christmas song here. We've got Going Home for Christmas. So tell us a bit about that. How did that come about for you?
Well, that album, just so people know too, was recorded in our log home here. It was one that I wanted people to really feel like I was just sitting in their living room with them as they maybe put up their Christmas tree or something like that and played some original Christmas music, because all the songs on there, with the exception of The Gift, which Stephanie Davis wrote and Garth recorded,
I love that.
Is are mine. And it is just an album that very simple, but a lot of people really like it. One of the most wonderful compliments I've received is that people have told me that's the album they choose to play every year when they put their Christmas tree up, because it just is a tradition and it makes them, you know, not all the old standard songs aren't the best. They are great to hear, you know, again and again, but they said that there's just something about mine that is more simple, and they really like that. So that's a true compliment.
Yeah.
Diane Pugh from England said to me in a post just yesterday, she said, "I'm writing on my Christmas cards listening to Joni Harms' Christmas in the Country," and then she just put bliss. And I thought, oh, how nice is that?
It is such
You know?
a good album. You kindly sent over last year, and I still have it a pride of place. And there's your album, but also another album that I love at Christmas is John Denver, Rocky Mountain Christmas.
Oh, absolutely. Can't go without that one either, can you?
Uh,
You almost have to start playing some of them right in November to get through all the great Christmas albums.
Well, I think one of the standout tracks for me, and it's one of those painting your picture, is Christmas for Cowboys.
Isn't that great? Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it.
In the sorts of Arizona deserts, and you know, bowing down, and it just brings it to me. And that is one of my stalwart Christmas, as well as your album as well. So I think let's play.
Well, thank you. I was just going to say Christmas in the Country came because that's it. I mean, I have always lived here, and when I've been out traveling on the road around Christmas time, it isn't a White House, it's a log house that we live in, but you know, so there's a few little fictitious parts in there, but honest to goodness, most of the rest of that song is true for my stories about coming home for Christmas. And I think a lot of people feel that way wherever they may be. If they can get home with their families at Christmas, that's what Christmas is.
You've got a great affinity with Ireland.
Absolutely, yes. The Sheeran family band, wonderful bunch of guys, and that is I don't know all the stories that I could tell. I need to write a book one of these days. I truly do. But I was booked in Norway, which is where my mom was from, and so I was booked at a festival over there. And Tom Sheeran, who's the fiddle player in the band, contacted me, and he said that his folks were getting ready to have their 50th wedding anniversary, and they were fans of mine. And he had seen that I was going to be playing in Norway, and he just wondered if by any chance I would consider coming over to Ireland and perform with their family band for a surprise for his folks' 50th anniversary. And I had not been to Ireland at that point, and I'd always wanted to go. I had no idea what kind of this family band would be like, but I was thrilled about being able to surprise his parents for their 50th too. So I said, why not? Let's go. And so I went over there, and to my pleasant surprise, they were a fantastic family band, so talented. One thing led to another. We played several times again after that first initial time. I did a live album with them over there, which is one of my favorite albums. It's you know, the pressure's on doing a live album, and my goodness, you can't make mistakes on that because it's going to be on there forever. But it turned out pretty good all in all. People have seemed to really enjoy it. And then my last album, Lucky 13, I also recorded in Des Sheeran's brand new studio over there in Ireland on his farm. And he had an apartment upstairs from the studio, so I just stayed up there, and it was wonderful. Strolled down with a cup of coffee in the morning. The roosters were crowing outside, which I was used to here on our farm or ranch. And, you know, we eased into the recording, but no hecticness driving down the freeway in a rush to get to the studio, getting yourself all wound up, just easy, slow, and casual, which is the way the Irish seem to do a lot of things over there. And such talent. I mean, that was, there were a few other musicians. It's amazing how things work now. We were even able to get some Nashville musicians to play their part and then send it over to Des to mix into what was recorded there in Ireland to get our final product. But I couldn't be more happy with the way Lucky 13 turned out as well.
I know I've been fortunate to play over in Ireland, and Northern Ireland, and they're just so welcoming, and it's just amazing, you know, the people, you know, it's like the red carpet treatment, and they just look after you, and they say so talented, so good musically. And one of the things about music and areas, Utah is, sorry, Oregon, I'm not saying Utah, Oregon, it's got a great batch of country singers. I mean, again, the guy who's been on the show, and a great singer, Jerry Kilgore. He's been,
Yes.
yeah, he's in Oregon and he knows yourself and that. And James House, my good friend James House, is originally from Oregon. You know, and I'm
Right.
thinking, oh my God, because everybody's thinking like Nashville, Georgia, you know, and all that kind of thing. But Oregon's got a really, you know, deep, talented pool of artists.
Well, thank you. I think so. You know, it really doesn't matter where you're from. If it's in your heart to play real country music, you know, I've heard. It's funny. Speaking of Ireland, in fact, I go over there and I'm so excited to hear the Irish music, and they say, "Oh no, we can hear that anytime. Let's hear some good country," you know. So uh, I think that there's talented people everywhere. It's just having the opportunity to get out there and be heard that isn't always that easy sometimes. And you know, that's the hardest part. I think, Paul, is you know, when the farther away you are from Nashville, maybe the harder it is. But it just depends on how bound and determined you are and how much support you have and breaks, opportunities, people you meet. You know, it all plays into it. But there's talented people everywhere.
There is, and what's Christmas Day going to look like for yourselves then this year? What's the plans?
You know, I think just something kind of slow and easy and nice. We'll probably cook a prime rib. I love to cook and bake, and so since we're home for the holidays rather than touring as much as we usually do, we'll probably do a fair bit of that. We have a lovely spot to be, and I'm getting a little bit crazy already with my decorations. I've got the log stairwell or stairway banister wrapped in garland and lights, and I think we've got 3 or 4 Christmas trees up already, one in the basement even, and you know, it's all about getting in the spirit. Lots of music, of course. Olivia and Luke and Jeff and I'll be here, and I believe the friend that Olivia's been seeing is going to be coming in from Colorado,
Yes.
and he'll be here with us this year. And you know, but really fairly quiet, not nearly as large and as many people as what we might normally have, because the rest of my family will probably have their own little families gatherings as well. But you know, I'm really looking forward to it. There's something special about just having an intimate gathering, and you know, we'll probably dress up a little, but kick off our shoes, no pressure. Just when food gets ready, it gets ready. You know, we don't have to set a certain time or anything like that.
Oh, well, I'm pleased that you managed to get some of the family round as well, and it's really good. But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you yet again. It's been far too long that we've seen each other face to face, but hopefully 2021 might open a lot more doors so you can come over to the UK and like I said, we can link up again. And like you said, you know my contact details. If you ever need anybody to help you, then give me a shout. Oh, thank you so much. Well, have a great Christmas and a great New Year. Like I said, we'll touch base hopefully in better times, and you and Jeff and all your family, Olivia, etc., and all the big family that you have. Have a great Christmas. Have a safe Christmas, safe New Year, and lots of love and best wishes to you all.
And to you as well, Paul, you and your family, and all the wonderful listeners out there.
We will do. Bye-bye now.